everyone, and welcome to another math lesson. Today, we're going to take all that work that we've been doing decomposing, which means breaking apart, and composing, which means putting together. So we've learned about decomposing, breaking apart, and now we're going to learn about composing, putting together numbers to 6. We're going to use drawings and number sentences. We've been spending a lot of time working with number sentences blank is blank and blank. Today, we're going to focus on starting with the parts. We've been starting with the whole. Today, we're going to start with the parts. So you're going to see number sentences saying blank and blank is blank. And we're going to practice our math symbols, the plus sign and the equal sign. Remember, when you see a plus sign, it's the same as and you're looking for your parts. The equal sign is the same as the word is, and that means you're looking for the whole. Today, we're going to be filling out our number sentences with the parts first, and then the whole. Let's get started. I have a story for you. Noah loves to play with magnets on his refrigerator. He has these magnets. What does Noah have on his refrigerator? Your teacher's going to pause the video. You probably said Noah has some shape magnets. There are some circles and squares. How many magnets does Noah have altogether? 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We want to know how many magnets are all together, so we count all of them together. We have 5 magnets all together. Now, remember how we practiced number bonds from shape pictures in an earlier lesson? What do you think we can do while we're solving this story with a number bond? We are going to use our shapes with our number bond. So we already know that we have 5 shapes all together. I'm going to write 5 in my whole. I want to know how many shapes are my parts. So I know that there are 3 circles and 2 squares. Because I have objects that I can move around, I'm going to show my parts under my number bond. This will help me when I go to my number bond and fill them in with numbers. We have 3 circles and 2 squares. Now that we heard the story about the magnets, we were able to organize our parts into the right number bond circle and fill in our whole. We were able to show that 3 and 2 is 5. What does the 5 tell us about? Your teacher's going to pause the video. Our 5 tells us about all of our shapes. What does the 3 tell us about? Your teacher's going to pause the video. The 3 tells us about our 3 circles. What does the 2 tell us about? The 2 tells us about our 2 squares. Now that we have 3 circles and 2 squares, that makes 5. Let's put it in our number sentence with our symbols. We're going to start with the parts first. We've been practicing with the parts first. So what are our 2 parts? And your teacher might pause the video for you to follow along and write your own number sentence. Our 2 parts are 3 and 2. 3 plus 2 equals 5. Remember, you told me that 5 is all of the shapes. The 3 tells us about the circles, and the 2 tells us about the squares. We just did a number sentence starting with the parts. Now, let's practice and review starting with the whole. Let's see if we remember how to do a number sentence when we first see the equal sign. Your teacher's going to pause the video. All right, we're going to start with our whole, which is 5, and then our two parts are 3 and 2. There are 5 shape magnets on Noah's refrigerator. 2 are squares, 3 are circles, and 5 equals 2 and 3 together. All right, now let's try a new story. Here is our new story. So Noah's friend gave him another circle magnet. What do you notice now? Your teacher's going to pause the video. We now have 4 circles. We have 2 squares and 4 circles. Let's count these sets of shapes. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 circles, so I can put 4 in one part of my number bond, and 1, 2 squares. I know my parts. So now we're going to take our parts and we're going to compose the number, which means we're going to put these parts together and make the number. And before, in our first Noah story, we decomposed the number 5 by starting with the whole and finding the parts. Now we know our parts and we need to find our whole. If we counted all of our shapes together and put our 2 parts together, what is our whole? Our whole is 6. 4 circles and 2 squares is 6 shapes all in all. We can write this in our number sentence by starting with our parts. 4 plus 2 equals 6. Let's go practice some more number sentences. Let's do some practice of filling in our number bonds and number sentences. Remember, when you see the hand with a pencil, you'll need something to write on and something to write with. All right, the first thing, I have a story about corn stalks. I'm going to read my story, and then your teacher is going to pause the video, and you guys are going to complete the number bond and the number sentence. There are 6 corn stalks. 5 corn stalks are in the first row. 1 corn stalk is in the second. Using my story of my corn stalks, what are my 2 parts? How can we complete the number bond and number sentence? I remember my story saying I had 6 corn stalks. That means 6 is my whole. Then my story said 5 corn stalks were in the first row. That means 5 is 1 part. Then I learned 1 corn stalk was in the second row, which is my other part. 5 and 1 is 6. Now let's put it in our number sentence, starting with our whole. 6 equals 5 plus 1. A practice refresher with a number sentence starting with the whole. Let's practice with starting with the 2 parts. I have a story about these cars. I'm going to read you my story, and then your teacher's going to pause the video, and you guys are going to complete my number sentences starting with the whole and ending, or starting with the parts and ending with the whole. Here's my story. There are 6 cars in the road. 2 cars are big and 4 cars are small. I learned in my story that I had 6 cars all together. Is 6 my whole or a part? 6 is my whole. I know when I see the word and a plus sign, I'm looking for the parts. When I see the word is or an equal sign, that must mean I'm looking for the whole. If my 2 parts are going right here, my whole is going to go at the end. Now that I know how many cars I have all together, let's talk about my 2 parts. I learned that I had 2 big cars, which is 1 part, and I had how many small cars? I had 4 small cars, which is my other part. Now, my number sentence completed, starting with my parts. Say it with me. 2 and 4 is 6. 2 and 4 is 6. I started with my parts, put them together to make 6. Now let's try with our math symbol. 2 plus 4 equals 6. Remember, when you see that plus sign, your parts are pushing it together to equal the whole. Seesaw, you're going to continue this work, hearing a story, and then completing number sentences and number bonds. Until next time, bye, Kipsters.